Studies show that the average knowledge worker checks their email or messaging apps every 6 minutes. Every single 6 minutes. And by the end of a typical workday, they have produced almost nothing that actually matters. The work that builds careers, creates real value, and separates the exceptional from the average requires something most people have completely abandoned: the ability to focus without distraction for extended periods of time. Cal Newport calls this deep work. And most of us have forgotten how to do it. In the next 10 minutes, you are going to discover exactly what deep work is, why our brains are rewired by distraction, and the specific strategies Newport lays out for reclaiming your cognitive power. We will cover the 4 philosophies of deep work, the role of deliberate practice, and the one rule about social media and shallow work that makes most people deeply uncomfortable when they first hear it. Stay with us because the most counterintuitive idea in this entire book comes near the end, and it will completely change how you think about productivity. Cal Newport is a computer science professor at Georgetown University. He published Deep Work in 2016, and it quickly became one of the most talked about productivity books of the decade. Newport is unusual among productivity writers because he actually practices what he preaches. He does not have a social media presence. He schedules protected blocks of focus time every single day. And he produces both cutting-edge academic research and popular books simultaneously. His credibility comes not just from theory but from a life deliberately built around the principles he teaches. The book opens with a powerful observation. Newport argues that we are living through a period of unprecedented cognitive fragmentation. The rise of the internet, open-plan offices, constant messaging, and social media has created a world where sustained attention is now the exception rather than the rule. Yet at the same time, the economic rewards for people who can think deeply and produce complex, high-quality work have never been greater. This is the central paradox Newport wants you to understand. The ability to do deep work is becoming increasingly rare at exactly the same moment that it is becoming increasingly valuable. If you can master this skill, you position yourself at a massive competitive advantage. So what exactly is deep work? Newport defines it as professional activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that push your cognitive capabilities to their limit. These efforts create new value, improve your skill, and are hard to replicate. Compare that to shallow work, which Newport defines as non-cognitively demanding logistical-style tasks, often performed while distracted. Answering routine emails, attending unfocused meetings, scrolling through updates, this is shallow work. It keeps you busy but it does not move the needle. Newport draws heavily on the research of cognitive psychologist Anders Ericsson, famous for his work on deliberate practice. Ericsson's research found that elite performers, musicians, athletes, chess grandmasters all share one common habit. They practice with intense, focused attention on specific skills. They are not just putting in hours. They are putting in concentrated, demanding effort. Newport argues that knowledge workers need to apply this exact same principle. Hours of shallow busyness do not build expertise. Hours of deep, focused effort do. There is also a neurological dimension here that Newport explores carefully. Myelin is the white matter in the brain that wraps around neural circuits. The more you fire a specific neural circuit, the more myelin develops around it, and the faster and more efficient that circuit becomes. Deep, focused practice literally builds a better brain for the skill you are developing. Distracted, fragmented work does the opposite. It prevents myelin from forming effectively. Your brain actually becomes structurally worse at the thing you are trying to do. But here is what nobody talks about. Newport argues that most knowledge workers spend the majority of their career in a state of shallow work and genuinely mistake busyness for productivity. The metric black hole, as Newport calls it, is the problem that knowledge workers lack clear measurements for their output. So they default to visible busyness, responding instantly to emails, being always available, attending every meeting as a proxy for actual productive contribution. This is where Newport introduces 4 distinct philosophies for how to integrate deep work into your life. Not every approach works for every person. The key is finding the one that fits your circumstances. The first is the monastic philosophy. This means radically minimizing or eliminating shallow obligations to focus almost entirely on deep work. Newport uses the example of Donald Knuth, the legendary computer scientist who famously does not have an email address and has not had one since 1990. This approach works for a very specific type of person in a very specific type of role. Most people cannot do this. The second is the bimodal philosophy. Here you divide your time into clearly defined stretches of deep work and periods of open availability. Carl Jung is the famous example. Jung would disappear to his tower in Bollingen for weeks at a time to think and write, then return to Zurich for his clinical practice and social life. You alternate between monk mode and regular mode on a scale of seasons, months, or even weeks. The third philosophy is the rhythmic philosophy, and Newport argues this is the most practical for the average knowledge worker. You create a simple daily ritual of consistent deep work blocks. Every morning from 6 to 9, for example, you do your most cognitively demanding work before the rest of the world intrudes. The chain method, marking off each successful day on a calendar and refusing to break the chain, is a common way to implement this. The fourth is the journalistic philosophy. You fit deep work into your schedule wherever you can, like a journalist who can write on deadline anywhere. This sounds appealing, but Newport warns it is extremely difficult to execute because switching into deep focus requires a mental transition that takes real effort. Without strong practice, most people cannot flip the switch reliably. Newport also introduces the concept of the shutdown ritual, which is one of the most practically useful ideas in the entire book. At the end of each workday, you perform a deliberate review of all open tasks, make a plan for anything unfinished, and then say a specific phrase out loud to signal to your brain that work is done. Newport uses the phrase shutdown complete. The research on this, called the Zeigarnik effect, shows that our brains obsessively cycle through uncompleted tasks. The shutdown ritual gives your brain permission to stop processing work, which allows genuine rest and recovery. Without it, your leisure time is contaminated by work anxiety and your deep work the next day suffers. Newport dedicates serious attention to the danger of social media. His argument here is not that social media is evil. His argument is more precise and more uncomfortable. He says most people have adopted a mindset he calls the any benefit approach. If a tool has any potential benefit, it justifies using it. Newport proposes replacing this with the craftsman approach to tool selection. You only adopt a tool if its positive impacts on your professional and personal goals substantially outweigh its negative impacts. By this standard, most people would dramatically reduce or eliminate their social media use entirely. The final major concept is what Newport calls the grand gesture. Sometimes the most effective way to trigger deep work is to radically change your environment in a way that signals to your brain that this moment matters. J.K. Rowling, when struggling to finish the final Harry Potter book, checked into a luxury hotel suite in Edinburgh. Bill Gates famously takes twice yearly think weeks, retreating alone to a cabin with only books and documents to think without interruption. The investment signals seriousness and dramatically raises the psychological stakes. The real-world implication of deep work is straightforward and a little uncomfortable. Most of what fills a standard workday does not require serious cognitive effort. Meetings, emails, status updates, these are coordination tasks, not value creation tasks. Newport is not saying they are worthless. He is saying they should not be your primary output. Before you go, if you learned something valuable today, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to Book Notes Daily for a brand new video every single day. We will see you in the next one.